The stars were calm, twinkling softly across the endless black of space. It seemed peaceful, almost like the universe itself was holding its breath. But far beyond the last human colony, a shadow appeared. A shadow that moved with purpose, carrying a terrible promise. The alien fleet had come. Thousands of ships, black and cold, glided silently through the void, their shapes unfamiliar, almost frightening. They were enormous, far larger than any human vessel, and their presence alone made the small human outposts in the sector tremble. Aboard the USS Valor, Captain Mara Jensen felt the first stirrings of unease. She stood at the bridge, her hands gripping the rail as her eyes followed the distant movement of the alien armada. Her crew moved silently around her, scanning screens and checking systems, their faces pale under the cold light of the monitors. This was the first time humans had ever faced a fleet like this. No one knew exactly what they were capable of, and that uncertainty hung heavy in the air. Mara inhaled deeply, trying to steady her racing heart. Fear was natural, she knew, but fear could also paralyze. And humans did not paralyze. Humans adapted. Humans fought. Her voice, calm but firm, cut through the hum of the engines and the low murmur of nervous technicians. "Prepare for first contact," she ordered. Her words were simple, but they carried weight. The crew looked at her, their eyes searching for strength, and they found it. Mara had learned long ago that in moments like this, confidence was contagious. If she faltered, they might falter too. But she would not falter, not today. The alien ships did not respond to human hails. They moved like predators, silent and purposeful, spreading wide in a formation that seemed almost alive. Mara studied their movements, noting patterns, trying to find weaknesses. There was something almost elegant in the way they moved, but it was a deadly elegance. These were not ships made for exploration or diplomacy. They were built for one thing: destruction. Lieutenant Chen, young but sharp, was at the tactical console, his fingers flying over controls as he tracked every ship. "Captain," he said, his voice tight, "they are closing in. Their energy signatures are off the charts. If they fire, even one hit could destroy us." Mara nodded slowly, her eyes never leaving the display. "I know," she said, "and that is exactly why we will not wait for them to fire first. We are not just another target drifting in space. We are humans. We will fight, and we will survive." The bridge fell silent again, each crew member lost in their own thoughts. Some remembered stories of battles they had studied, of human victories against impossible odds. Others were thinking of home, of loved ones they might never see again. Mara could feel the tension coiling through the room like a living thing, yet beneath it all was a quiet determination. They were not ready to die. Not today. Outside, the alien fleet spread further, encircling the distant stars like a black storm. Mara's heart pounded, not from fear, but from a strange, burning resolve. Humanity had never faced such a threat before. The stories of past explorers, of brave captains and their crews, seemed distant and small compared to this moment. Yet she felt a connection to them, as if their courage had passed down through generations, arriving here, in her hands, in her crew. The Valor itself seemed to sense the moment. Its engines thrummed with quiet power, the hull glowing faintly, as shields came online. This ship was more than metal and wires. It was a symbol, a beacon of human ingenuity and will. Mara ran her hands along the railing, imagining the thousands of engineers, builders, and dreamers who had made this moment possible. They had built more than a ship. They had built hope. A small alarm beeped, drawing everyone's attention. Chen looked up at Mara, his face pale but determined. "They've stopped," he said. "They're just hovering, waiting." Mara studied the dark shapes through the viewports. The silence was worse than the attack. In that quiet, she could almost hear the universe itself holding its breath. The aliens were assessing, calculating, and the humans were doing the same. This was a test, and only one side would move first. She turned to her crew, her gaze sweeping across each face. "Whatever happens next," she said, "remember who we are. We are humans. We do not retreat. We do not surrender. We fight. And we will show them that even a single human warship can change the course of a battle." The words hung in the air, heavy and powerful. The crew straightened, their fear slowly transforming into determination. They were not alone. They were part of something greater, part of humanity itself, standing defiantly against the unknown. And then, without warning, the first alien ship adjusted its trajectory, moving closer, as if sensing the challenge in Mara's gaze. The Valor's lights reflected on the bridge, casting long shadows over the tense faces of the crew. Mara felt a surge of adrenaline. This was it, the moment of truth. For the first time, humans and aliens faced each other in the cold emptiness of space. One fleet was enormous, confident, and deadly. The other was small, untested, and seemingly fragile. Yet in that small, fragile ship, something powerful burned: human courage. And that courage would not be ignored. The stars shone on, indifferent, to the coming storm, while the Valor waited, engines ready, weapons online, and hearts steady. The human warship was prepared to face the impossible. And far beyond the stars, the alien fleet did not yet know the fire it had awakened. The void of space seemed to grow heavier as the alien fleet drew closer. The black ships moved with a grace that was terrifying, slow, deliberate, and deadly. Captain Mara Jensen stood at the bridge of the USS Valor, her eyes fixed on the approaching threat. She felt the familiar hum of the engines beneath her feet, the vibration of energy flowing through the hull, as if the ship itself were alive and ready to fight alongside her. Lieutenant Chen's hands moved swiftly across the tactical console, tracking the alien vessels. "Captain," he said, voice tight with tension, "they're within attack range. Their weapons are primed. If they fire—" He stopped, swallowing hard. He did not need to finish the sentence. Mara understood perfectly. One hit could destroy them all. She stepped closer to him, placing a steady hand on his shoulder. "Chen, listen to me. Fear is natural, but it cannot control us. We are humans. We have survived when everything told us we could not. That is what makes us dangerous. That is what makes us strong." The young lieutenant nodded, drawing courage from her words. Around them, the crew worked silently but efficiently, their movements precise. Every console was alive with activity, shields powering up, weapons charging, engines humming at maximum readiness. They all knew this was the first moment humanity had truly faced an alien fleet. There was no history to guide them, no past battles to study. Everything depended on courage, skill, and instinct. Suddenly, the alien ships shifted, moving faster, like predators closing in on their prey. Mara's heart raced, but she did not let it show. She straightened her shoulders and addressed the bridge crew. "Raise shields to full power. Ready the primary weapons, and prepare to fire on my command. We are not here to hide. We are here to fight." Outside the viewports, the alien vessels glittered with energy, their weapons humming, in readiness. Space around them seemed to shimmer with the tension of what was about to unfold. Mara's mind raced, calculating every possibility, every outcome. She had trained for emergencies, for attacks, for impossible odds, but nothing in her life could have fully prepared her for this. A sudden ping from the communications console drew her attention. The human fleet had attempted a hailing signal, sending a message in the universal language of diplomacy. The words were simple: "We come in peace. We do not wish to fight." There was no reply. Silence. Only the dark shapes of the alien ships, gliding forward with deliberate menace. It was clear they had no interest in negotiation. Mara's stomach tightened, but she felt a surge of determination. If they would not speak, then humanity would make its voice heard in a language the aliens would understand. Fire. The first shot came without warning. A streak of deadly energy raced toward the Valor, streaking across space with terrifying speed. The ship shuddered violently as the shields absorbed the impact, sparks flickering across the consoles. The bridge crew held their positions, gripping railings and edges of consoles, their knuckles white. Mara's voice rang out over the alarm. "Return fire! Target their nearest ship!" Plasma cannons flared, bright beams slicing across the darkness toward the alien vessels. Explosions bloomed in the distance as the first enemy ship erupted into flames, its destruction a violent, shining beacon. The bridge erupted in controlled chaos, lights blinking, alarms ringing, but the crew moved with precision, each action a testament to their training and courage. "Captain!" Chen shouted, pointing to the screens. "They're adjusting their formation. They're confused." Mara allowed herself a brief smile. "Good," she said. "Confusion is the first crack in their armor. We exploit it. Do not hesitate. Fire again." The Valor moved with a predator's grace, weaving between enemy fire, striking with calculated precision. The alien fleet, so confident in their strength, began to falter. Their coordination, once perfect, now showed signs of chaos. One ship collided with another. Missiles fired incorrectly, striking their own vessels. Mara watched with a mix of awe and grim satisfaction. Humans were small, fragile, and yet their courage and strategy had already begun to unbalance the seemingly unstoppable enemy, even as the alien fleet had expected an easy victory. They had seen countless worlds fall before their shadow, and in their arrogance, they believed humanity would be no different. But the USS Valor was unlike any opponent they had faced. "Captain Mara." Jensen's hands moved over the controls with quiet precision, each decision a heartbeat in the rhythm of war. Around her, the bridge crew followed instinct and training. Their fear transformed into determination, their doubt into a fierce focus. "Target their left wing formation," Mara ordered. "Fire when ready." The plasma cannons flared, sending searing beams into the nearest alien vessels. Explosions blossomed in the void, lighting up the darkness with deadly beauty. The aliens had not expected such speed, such accuracy. One by one, their ships faltered, their formation breaking apart as the humans struck with surgical precision. Lieutenant Chen's voice rang out over the comms, a mixture of surprise and exhilaration. "Captain, they're falling back. They didn't anticipate this. They're losing control." Mara did not celebrate. There was no time for celebration. There was only the fight, only the moment, only the knowledge that every second counted. "Keep pressing them," she said, her eyes scanning the array of alien ships. "We cannot let them regroup. We finish this before they learn to adapt." The Valor twisted and weaved through space, dodging streams of alien fire with a grace that seemed impossible. Every move was calculated yet fluid, as if the ship itself anticipated the next attack. The alien vessels fired relentlessly, but their shots were often too slow, too predictable. Humans had a strange way of moving that defied expectation, reckless, bold, yet strangely precise. As the battle raged, Mara could see fear spreading among the alien ranks. Their weapons faltered, their formations broke, and even the largest of their ships began to hesitate. For the first time, the aliens realized that humans were not to be treated as mere obstacles. Humans were something different, something dangerous. "Captain," Chen said, pointing at the tactical display, "if we target their command ship, we could break their fleet entirely." Mara's gaze hardened. This was the moment, the chance to strike at the heart of the enemy. "Prepare the strike," she ordered. All weapons, focus on the command vessel. Let's show them what humans can do when cornered. Missiles and plasma flares streaked across space, converging on the alien flagship. The impact was devastating. The command ship shuddered violently. Explosions ripping through its hull. Its destruction sent a shockwave across the alien fleet, throwing them into chaos. Smaller ships collided, weapons fired in confusion, and panic began to spread like wildfire. On the bridge of the Valor, the crew held their positions, adrenaline surging through every vein, eyes wide, hands steady, hearts beating in unison. They were witnessing the impossible, the collapse of a force they had once believed unstoppable. And yet, amid the chaos, Mara remained calm. Her mind focused on the next move, the next strike. "Focus on the flanks," she commanded. "Do not let any ship escape." The humans moved like predators, striking where the enemy least expected. Alien ships erupted in fire, one after another, until the void was littered with wreckage. The Valor moved through the battlefield with confidence, striking, dodging, and striking again. Each victory, though small in scale, added to a larger triumph, the realization that humans were not just survivors, they were warriors. Even as explosions rocked the void, Mara allowed herself a brief glance at her crew. Each face reflected a mixture of awe, fear, and pride. They had come together as a single unit, a team bonded not just by duty but by the shared understanding that their actions would be remembered. They were humanity's first true line of defense, standing alone against a fleet that had never known defeat. "Captain," Chen said, voice trembling with excitement, "they're retreating! The fleet! They're scattering!" Mara's eyes narrowed. "Do not celebrate yet. Retreat for them is only temporary. They will regroup if we let them. Stay focused. We press the attack." Outside the viewports, the remaining alien ships moved erratically, unsure of where to go, unable to form a coherent strategy. Every human maneuver struck fear deeper into their ranks. The Valor had become more than a ship. It had become a symbol of human courage, a ghost in the void that could not be caught or defeated. The battle continued, and Mara felt something she had never felt before in her career, a deep, powerful sense of purpose. Every decision, every action, was a statement, not just of survival, but of humanity's place in the galaxy. Humans were small, fragile, and underestimated, but they had heart, they had determination, and they had the will to fight, no matter the odds. As the last of the alien ships fled into the darkness of space, Mara allowed herself a long breath. The Valor drifted among the wreckage, its shields still humming, its hull bearing the marks of battle. The bridge crew looked at each other, exhausted but triumphant, realizing that they had just accomplished the impossible. "Captain," Chen said softly, almost in disbelief, "we did it. We actually did it." Mara's eyes met his, filled with both pride and solemnity. "We survived, Chen. That's what matters. Humanity survived." The stars shone coldly outside the Valor, indifferent to the battle that had just taken place. Yet among those distant points of light, something had changed. The galaxy had witnessed a single human warship face an alien fleet and emerge victorious. It was a moment that would echo through the corridors of time, a warning and a promise, all at once. The Valor was alone, yet stronger than any fleet. Its crew knew that they had done more than win a battle. They had shown the universe that humans could not be ignored, that courage and determination could turn even the smallest force into a legend, and far beyond the stars, the alien commanders would remember. They would remember the fire, the precision, and the terror of a species that refused to yield. They would remember humanity, and they would never underestimate it again. The alien fleet had never known defeat. They were the hunters of the galaxy, feared wherever they went. Worlds had fallen to their relentless attacks, civilizations crushed under their unstoppable machines. Yet now, among the distant stars, something impossible was happening. One human warship, the USS Valor, was turning the tide. The fleet that had seemed invincible was faltering, and for the first time, fear rippled through the alien ranks. Captain Mara Jensen stood on the bridge, eyes fixed on the tactical displays. The alien ships moved unpredictably, breaking formation, colliding with one another, firing at the wrong targets. Their precision, once flawless, had dissolved into chaos. Mara felt a mixture of awe and determination. This was her moment, the moment humanity had been preparing for, even if they did not yet realize it. Lieutenant Chen leaned over the console, tracking the enemy's erratic movements. "Captain," he said, voice tight with tension. "They're panicking. Their formation is gone. I've never seen anything like it. They're scared of us." Mara's lips curved into a faint smile, though her expression remained serious. "Good," she said quietly. "Fear is the first crack in their armor. We exploit it, but we stay sharp. Never underestimate them. They are still dangerous." The bridge was tense, alive with energy and focus. Crew members moved with precision, eyes glued to their instruments, hands steady despite the adrenaline that surged through their veins. This was more than a battle. This was humanity proving something to the galaxy, to themselves, to every living being that had ever doubted their strength. Outside, the void was chaotic. Alien ships veered wildly, some colliding with others in a deadly dance. Explosions lit the darkness in flashes of fiery orange and white, each one a testament to the Valor's skill and courage. Mara's ship moved with grace, striking where the enemy least expected. Plasma beams and missiles streaked across the void, finding their marks with deadly accuracy. Even the largest alien vessels, which had once inspired fear in humans, now trembled under the relentless attacks. Shields flared and weakened, weapon systems faltered, and panic spread like a virus. Mara could feel it even from here. The alien commanders' calculations had failed, their confidence shattered. For the first time, they knew that their arrogance had been a mistake. "Captain," Chen said, voice trembling slightly with excitement. "They're trying to retreat, but they don't know where to go. Their coordination is gone. This is our chance." Mara's gaze hardened. "Do not let them escape. Press the attack. Show them that humans are not prey. They are hunters too." The Valor surged forward, weaving between enemy fire like a living predator. Each strike was precise, calculated, and devastating. One by one, alien ships erupted in brilliant explosions, their destruction echoing across the void. The human crew felt a mixture of fear, exhilaration, and pride. They had faced the unknown and had not only survived, they were winning. Yet Mara knew better than to let pride blind her. This was a dangerous moment. The alien fleet was vast, and even in chaos, it remained deadly. One mistake could cost them everything. She kept her mind sharp, her hands steady, and her heart focused. Humans did not give up. Humans did not surrender, and they never retreated without a fight. "Target their command vessels," she ordered. "If we break their leadership, the fleet will collapse completely." The crew obeyed, weapons firing, in perfect harmony. Missiles and plasma beams streaked across space, striking the alien command ships with devastating force. The explosions rippled outward, shaking. The alien fleet was no longer moving as one. Ships spun in confusion, weapons misfiring, engines flaring in erratic bursts. Mara Jensen stood on the bridge of the USS Valor, her eyes scanning the battlefield with sharp focus. The humans had achieved the impossible. They had unbalanced a fleet that was thought unstoppable. But victory was not yet complete. One wrong move, one hesitation, and the tide could turn. "Captain," Lieutenant Chen said, voice tight with tension, Their command structure is fragmented. If we strike their core now, it could collapse the entire fleet. Mara's lips pressed into a determined line. She knew he was right. The command ships were still in the center of the chaos, their destruction capable of sending shockwaves through the remaining alien forces. But the maneuver would be dangerous. The Valor would have to dive deep into the heart of the enemy, AI, place where lasers and missiles screamed through space like deadly comets. She turned to her crew, her voice calm but commanding. Prepare for the final maneuver. This is the moment we have trained for. Weapons ready, shields at maximum. And remember, humans do not retreat. The crew nodded, their movements precise, synchronized. The tension in the bridge was electric, but it was no longer fear. It was anticipation. They were about to do what no one thought possible. They were about to strike at the heart of a fleet and survive. Outside the viewport, the alien ships twisted and spun in disarray, their chaos evident in every movement. Mara felt a cold thrill run through her veins. Humans had faced impossible odds before, but this was different. This was the test of the species, the moment that would define humanity's place in the stars. Engage evasive patterns, Mara commanded. We move now. Hit them hard, hit them fast, and disappear before they can recover. The Valor surged. Forward, engines blazing, weaving between enemy fire with almost supernatural precision. Every strike Mara ordered found its mark. Plasma cannons flared, missiles streaked across the void, and one by one, alien ships erupted in fire and smoke. The bridge crew worked in perfect harmony, anticipating each move, reacting instantly to every threat. Even as they fought, Mara's mind calculated the final strike. The command ships were clustered near the center of the formation, flanked by smaller vessels. If she could break through, she could destroy them and end the battle. But the risk was immense. One hit to the Valor could spell doom. Target the central command ship, she ordered. Focus all weapons. Timing is everything. Thai-ow. Crew obeyed, their hands moving with practiced skill. Missiles, plasma beams, and energy pulses converged on the enemy flagship. The first strikes hit with blinding intensity, tearing through the alien shields. The ship shuddered violently, sparks flying across its hull as the explosions rocked. The formation around it. The alien fleet faltered further, panic spreading faster than any attack. Without their central command, coordination collapsed entirely. Ships fired blindly, some colliding with others, while the Valor danced among the chaos, striking and evading with a precision that seemed almost impossible. "Captain," Chen said, excitement and fear mingling in his voice. "They're falling apart. The fleet, it's breaking apart completely." Mara allowed herself a small nod. "Good. Now we press forward. We finish this." The Valor moved closer to the command ship, its weapons blazing in a final, concentrated assault. The alien flagship groaned under the relentless attack, shields flickering and failing. Plasma cannons carved through its armor, missiles struck with deadly precision, and the explosions spread outward, shaking nearby vessels. The enemy command structure, once impenetrable, was now crumbling before the humans' eyes. Even in the chaos, Mara maintained calm. Her mind worked like a machine, calculating every move, anticipating every counterattack. She knew that the human spirit, more than any weapon, was what made them dangerous. Fearless, relentless, and adaptable, humans had become the nightmare the aliens never expected. The bridge crew watched in awe as the command ship erupted into a brilliant inferno. Flames and energy surged across the void, lighting the darkness with the destruction of a fleet leader. The remaining alien ships, leaderless and confused, scattered in every direction, their morale shattered. "Focus on the escapees," Mara commanded. "Do not let any ship regroup." The Valor pursued the fleeing vessels, striking with precision and speed. One by one, the remaining ships exploded, each victory adding to the sense of disbelief and awe on the bridge. The alien fleet, once proud and deadly, was now a scattering of wreckage drifting among the stars. Mara looked at her crew, seeing exhaustion, exhilaration, and pride in every face. They had done it. They had faced the impossible and survived. Humanity had turned the tide, not through numbers, not through overwhelming power, but through courage, skill, and unyielding determination. "Captain," Chen said softly, almost reverently, "we've done it. The fleet, it's gone." Mara's eyes lingered on the tactical display, where explosions and wreckage filled the void. "Not gone," she said quietly. "Survivors may remain, but the heart is destroyed. Humanity has shown the galaxy what we are capable of." Outside, the ship, the stars, shone indifferent and eternal. Yet among them, the valor blazed like a comet, a symbol of human resilience and defiance. The alien fleet, for the first time in its history, had tasted fear, and it was a fear they would not forget. Mara allowed herself a deep breath, feeling the tension drain from her body. The turning point had been reached. The battle, once uncertain, had shifted in favor of humanity. The impossible had become reality, and the valor had become more than a ship. It was a legend in motion. The crew exchanged quiet smiles and nods. They had faced annihilation and emerged victorious. They had struck at the heart of a fleet and survived. And they had proven, in the clearest way possible, that humans were not to be underestimated. For Mara Jensen and her crew, this was only the beginning. Humanity had awakened in the galaxy, fierce and fearless, and nothing, not even the largest fleet in the universe, could ignore their presence again. The heart of the alien fleet burned like a storm in space, but the USS Valor moved calmly through it, its engines humming with quiet power. Captain Mara Jensen stood at the bridge, her eyes sharp, her mind steady. This was the moment she had prepared for, the moment that would decide the fate of the battle, the moment when humans would strike fear into the galaxy itself. "Target their command ship," Mara ordered, her voice cutting through the hum of alarms and the occasional crackle of distant explosions. "All weapons, fire on my mark!" Lieutenant Chen's fingers flew over the controls, activating every weapon system in perfect synchronization. The plasma cannons flared, sending beams of blue-white energy streaking across the void. Missiles launched with deadly precision, weaving through enemy fire and striking the alien flagship with shattering force. The bridge trembled with the power of the attack, but the crew stood firm, their eyes fixed on the tactical displays. The command ship groaned under the assault. Its shields flickered, then collapsed entirely as explosions tore through its massive hull. Mara watched, calm but alert, as fire and debris spiraled into the void. One by one, other alien vessels nearby faltered, some exploding from the shockwave, others colliding as they attempted to escape. Chaos spread through the fleet like wildfire. Chen's voice was almost breathless. "Captain, their fleet is breaking apart. It's collapsing." Mara's gaze did not waver from the center of the battlefield. "Hold nothing back. We finish this now. Precision, speed, and courage. Strike hard." The Valor moved with almost unnatural agility, weaving between enemy fire, its weapons blazing continuously. Every shot counted, every strike precise. The alien fleet, once a terrifying wall of black metal and deadly energy, was now disorganized, leaderless and fearful. For the first time, they knew what humans were capable of, fearless determination combined with strategic brilliance. Even as explosions lit the void, Mara felt a quiet awe. Humanity had never faced such odds, and yet here they were, standing unbroken in the face of a fleet that had conquered worlds. Her crew, each member focused and determined, reflected the best of humanity. They were not just soldiers or sailors. They were the embodiment of human courage, ingenuity, and resilience. The command ship, the largest and most feared of the alien vessels, twisted in space, trying desperately to recover. But Mara's final strike had already sealed its fate. The plasma beams hit its core systems, missiles shredded its engines, and the hull began to fracture under the relentless assault. With a final deafening explosion, the command ship erupted into a brilliant cloud of fire and energy, sending debris across the battlefield. One by one, the remaining alien ships attempted to flee, but their coordination was gone. Fear had taken hold of them. Without their leader, without structure, they were scattered and vulnerable. The Valor pursued, striking at any ship that tried to regroup. Each explosion, each destroyed vessel, was a testament to human precision and courage. "Captain," Chen said, voice trembling with both fear and awe, "the fleet, it's disappearing. They're vanishing before our eyes." Mara allowed herself a small nod. Yes. They underestimated humans, and now they are learning a lesson they will never forget. The void was filled with fire and wreckage, yet the Valor moved unharmed, its shields holding firm, its engines responding flawlessly to every maneuver. Mara watched as the last of the alien ships. The void was quiet now. Silence stretched across the stars like a soft blanket, broken only by the hum of the USS Valor's engines and the faint crackle of distant debris. Captain Mara Jensen stood at the bridge, her hands resting lightly on the railing, staring out into the emptiness where the alien fleet had once loomed. It was hard to believe that just moments ago the darkness had been filled with fire and chaos. Now, only silence remained. The bridge crew moved slowly, their movements heavy with exhaustion. Faces once tense with fear and determination now showed relief, awe, and the quiet pride of victory. Lieutenant Chen leaned against the console, rubbing his eyes, still trying to process what had just happened. "Captain," he said softly, we actually did it. We survived. We won." Mara turned to him, her expression calm but filled with quiet emotion. "We did more than survive, Chen. We showed the universe who we are. Humanity is not just another species to be conquered. We fight. We endure. We rise, even when the odds are impossible." Around them, the crew began checking systems, repairing minor damage, and sending reports to command. But even amid the routine work, there was an unspoken understanding. They had faced something extraordinary. They had stared into the face of annihilation and come through victorious. Their courage, their skill, and their unity had carried them through. A soft alarm chimed from the communications console. Mara moved over, expecting updates from nearby colonies or human fleets. Instead, it was a simple, quiet message, a single line. "The galaxy will remember." Mara allowed herself a small smile. The words were simple, but the meaning was immense. Humanity had left its mark. The alien fleet, once unstoppable, had vanished in minutes before a single human warship. That fact alone would be remembered, long after the battle faded from memory. It was proof that courage and determination could change the course of history. The crew gathered near the viewports, watching the scattered wreckage of the alien fleet drift silently through the void. Fires flickered among the debris, bright and short-lived against the black of space. Mara could feel the weight of it all, the lives lost on both sides, the sheer magnitude of what had just occurred. And yet, she also felt hope. Hope that humanity had finally proven itself capable of standing tall among the stars. "Captain," Chen said, his voice low and reflective, "do you think they'll come back? The others? The rest of their kind?" Mara's gaze remained on the distant debris, her expression thoughtful. "Perhaps. But now they know humans are not to be underestimated. They have seen our courage. They have seen our resolve. And if they return, they will remember what happened today. We have set a warning they cannot ignore. The crew exchanged quiet nods, the weight of their accomplishment settling over them. They had faced fear, chaos, and the unknown, and they had prevailed. That knowledge, that sense of unity and strength, would stay with them forever. Mara walked slowly along the bridge, pausing to look at each member of her crew. She saw fatigue, yes, but she also saw pride. She saw the reflection of something larger than themselves, a species that had refused to bow, refused to surrender, and refused to accept defeat. "Each of you has done more than your duty," she said softly. "You have shown the universe, the heart of humanity. Never forget this. Never forget what you are capable of when you stand together." Outside, the stars continued to shine, indifferent to the small ship and its crew. Yet somewhere among them, new stories were being whispered, across light years. Stories of a single human warship that had faced an alien fleet and had won. Stories that would grow into legends. Stories that would remind every corner of the galaxy that humans were not to be underestimated. The bridge fell silent, each crew member lost in thought. Mara stood at the viewport, watching the distant wreckage drift slowly into the emptiness. She felt a quiet satisfaction, a deep emotional resonance that only came from knowing they had changed history. Humanity had survived. Humanity had triumphed. "Captain," Chen said after a long pause, "do you feel proud?" Mara's eyes softened, her gaze still on the stars. "Yes," she said quietly. "But more than that, I feel honored. Honored to fight alongside humans who would never give up, who would stand against impossible odds and show what it truly means to be human." For a moment, there was nothing but the hum of the ship and the distant glow of debris. And in that stillness, the crew of the Valor understood something profound. They were more than a ship and its people. They were a symbol of hope, courage, and the unbreakable spirit of humanity. The stars around them seemed to shine brighter in response, indifferent yet beautiful, a silent witness to the extraordinary events that had just unfolded. The Valor would continue, its journey carrying not only a crew, but a message that humans could face the unimaginable, survive, and triumph. Mara took a deep breath and finally allowed herself a moment of quiet reflection. They had faced death, chaos, and fear, and had emerged victorious. And though the galaxy was vast, unknown, and dangerous, she knew this: humanity was ready to face the challenges ahead, ready to endure, and ready to show the universe that courage, determination, and heart were weapons no one could take away. And so, amid the stars and the silent wreckage of a once great fleet, the crew of the Valor stood together, proud and resolute. They had done the impossible. They had shown the universe the power of the human spirit. And they had begun a legacy that would be remembered for generations to come. The void of space stretched endlessly before the USS Valor, calm and quiet now, as if holding its breath after the storm of battle. Captain Mara Jensen stood at the bridge, gazing at the stars, her heart still pulsing with the adrenaline of what had just occurred. The alien fleet, once a terrifying wall of power, had vanished in minutes. Humanity had faced annihilation and emerged victorious. And in that victory, something greater had been born, a legend. Lieutenant Chen moved beside her, still wide-eyed with disbelief. "Captain, do you think they'll ever forget us?" he asked softly. Mara turned, her expression a mix of quiet, pride, and solemn understanding. "No," she said, "they won't. and neither will anyone else in the galaxy. Today, humanity proved that courage and determination can defy the impossible. Today we became more than survivors. We became a force the universe cannot ignore. The crew on the bridge watched the distant stars, each lost in their own thoughts. Some reflected on the lives of their comrades, those who had fought bravely alongside them. Others thought of the worlds that now might be safe, thanks to their actions. And all of them felt the quiet, powerful truth that had been forged in the heart of battle. Humans would not be defeated, not by fear, not by power, and not by anyone who underestimated their will. Mara walked among her crew, pausing at each console. "Every action you took today mattered," she said. "Every decision, every strike, every risk. It shaped the outcome. You have done what many thought impossible. You have written history with your courage. Remember this, because it will guide humanity in the years to come." Outside the ship, the remnants of the alien fleet drifted silently, broken and leaderless. The fires of their destruction glimmered faintly against the blackness of space, reminders of the price of arrogance and the power of resolve. Mara's eyes softened as she considered the irony. These invaders had once thought themselves unstoppable, yet a single human warship had unmade their fleet in minutes. Humanity had done what countless others could not. "Captain," Chen said, after a pause, his voice barely above a whisper, "do you think this is just the beginning?" Mara nodded slowly. "Yes," she said. "This is the first message we send to the galaxy. One small ship, one crew. And yet, it has changed the course of history. Other fleets, other civilizations will hear of this. They will remember the humans who faced them without fear. And they will know that courage cannot be destroyed no matter how powerful the enemy seems." The bridge fell silent as the crew reflected on her words. The silence was not empty. It was full of meaning, full of pride, and full of the knowledge that they had been part of something extraordinary. The stars outside seemed to shine brighter, as if acknowledging the bravery and resilience of those aboard the Valor. Mara's gaze returned to the stars, distant and eternal. She thought of the worlds that humans would explore, the challenges they would face, and the enemies they might meet. And yet, she felt no fear. Humans had learned something that could never be taken away, that courage, determination, and unity could turn the tide, even against the impossible. "Prepare a message for command," Mara said softly, her voice steady. "Tell them the fleet is gone, the mission is complete, and remind them that humanity is ready for the stars." Chen nodded, already typing out the report, but he did not look at the screen. His eyes remained on Mara, on the Valor, and on the infinite void where legends were born. The crew moved with a quiet sense of purpose now, each member understanding that this battle was more than a victory. It was a turning point. Humanity had shown the universe that they were not prey. Humanity had shown the universe that they could stand against the greatest threats and prevail. And humanity had begun a legacy that would echo through generations, inspiring courage wherever it was needed. Mara allowed herself a rare moment of reflection. She thought of every life lost, every risk taken, and every fear confronted. She thought of the Kree,